This episode is brought to you by ARX. You want to be a successful strength training studio owner. The problem is you aren't able to deliver the safest, most efficient and effective workouts, making it harder for you to attract and retain clients, which makes you feel frustrated. I understand that it can be difficult to differentiate your business without the right tools. ARX's breakthrough adaptive resistance technology uses patented motorized resistance and computer software to give you and your clients the perfect workout every single time. BioFit founder John Zarbok says that ARX is clearly the superior tool to deliver the exercise stimulus. My clients are seeing insane improvements in weeks, not months. I could not fathom running my business without ARX. So here's how you get started. Number one, go to arxfit.com/HOB to get $500 off your ARX machines. Number two, book a call with the ARX sales team. And number three, learn how ARX can help you grow your strength training business. Go to arxfit.com/HOB so you can stop struggling to attract and retain clients and start to grow your strength training business with confidence. Hey, it's Lawrence here, bringing you another episode on high intensity business. I apologize in advance for my terrible lighting. I assure you the lighting during the episode is much better, although not perfect. This is episode 344, and the reason for this short recording ahead of the interview is just to say that this podcast is meant to be focused on retention, but we end up talking about contracts and pricing and packaging, and we do talk about retention measurables at the start, but we do dance around a little bit. We talk about things about the business of strength training that are tangentially related to retention, but they're a little bit off topic. So I just wanted to say that because in the intro to this, where I intro it live, I talk about how this is going to be all about retention, and I don't want to confuse you or let you down or mismanage expectations. So this is a really tactically rich episode full of advice and principles on pricing and packaging and contracts and how you measure retention and how you think about retention in terms of principles for retention and how you educate your clients so they strength train with you forever. Julian Masler is an absolute master, and they have one of the most successful businesses in high intensity training with Aura Fit. They're growing super fast. I think they did like 160K last month or something like that. And Julian is completely comfortable with me saying that. They're growing really fast. They're exciting to watch. And if you are listening to this podcast and you are struggling to retain clients and grow your business, then please join Hit Business Membership, where we provide you with how-to guides from very successful strength training experts to help you grow your business with confidence. Please subscribe to the podcast if you don't already so that you get notified of every new episode we release. And without any further ado, please enjoy this fantastic episode 344 with Julian Masler. Lawrence Neal here, and welcome back to highintensitybusiness.com, the podcast where we discuss high-intensity strength training and provide you with the tools, the tactics, and the strategies to help you grow your strength training business. This is episode 344, I believe, and today's guest is Julian Masler. Julian is the CEO and co-founder of Aura Fit, a fast-growing high-intensity training franchise in Switzerland. We've done two podcasts before. We actually did a round one some while back on marketing and copy and website and your first touch points effectively with your customers in terms of sales and marketing. And then we did a round two quite recently, a few weeks back, where we touched on content marketing, sales process, sales follow-up, and conversion. So naturally, we thought it would be appropriate to do a round three where we focused on proactive and reactive client retention and more stuff about client retention and probably some other topics as well. Julian, welcome back to the podcast. Great to see you again.
Love it here as always. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And I love the branding behind you. For those that don't know, we've been talking for about, I don't know, it feels like 2 hours before this podcast, and Julian had to make sure he had the best setup. So, as I said there, we talked about marketing, we talked about sales conversions. You guys are just doing so well. You're growing fast. And I just wanted to know what you do from a retention perspective. Do you have set processes for like proactive retention and education and then reactive stuff so that when people, they stop showing up? Like, do you have processes in place? Maybe we can start with actually, you know what? let's pause. Let's take a step back. Firstly, how do you measure retention? Because different organizations measure this differently. So let's start there.
Yeah, that's a great question, because oftentimes you don't have this really clear-cut retention that you would have, for example, in a software business, which is people cancel and they're no longer paying them monthly subscription. We have the same problem. We have people that just cancel and then come back 2 months later, or if they are on a package where they just pay by where the points are deducted for every time they come, like a 10-pack or 52-pack, and they just let them run out and then come back after 6 months and stuff. So retention measurement is there's some noise in there. What we focus on with our platform is just like the usage, right? We want to, it's just completely separated from just a billing metric to a usage metric. So we just look in a system. We have integrated a system, it's called Intercom, into our own cloud. And it can just measure and do kind of business intelligence on how many times have people come on average, who has filtered all people who have not done a training in the last 1 month. And so we can always measure active clients, right? And then just match that against people that were active a month ago. And then we have our net expansion. So we are always focusing on the net expansion. And the retention obviously is really hard to measure, and we measure that based on people that have not renewed their subscription. So they might be jumping in again 2 months down the road, but we see them as churned when they are not renewing their subscription or haven't come, I think, for 6 weeks, something like that. It's that's how we measure the retention.
Do you do anything? Because would I be right in saying that's more like lagging indicators, right? So stuff that's happened after the fact. Do you do anything to anticipate any leading indicators that you measure to anticipate it? Yeah.
Yeah. So we have we pull out of the business intelligence tool. Every month we pull out people that are up for renewal, and then work this list. First of all, everybody is entitled and should get another scan appointment, how we call it. So we do a training and then we do a 3D body scan, and we just do kind of a control of how they have progressed with our service, like how they have improved in terms of muscle strength for the different movements that we do with them, and also like body markers like waist circumference and stuff like that. And at that discussion, we also ask, are you happy with the service? Do you want to renew your subscription? It's kind of
after what amount of time is that?
It depends. I mean, if it's a 3 month subscription, towards the end of the first 3 months, we do a scan. If it's normally they are invited automatically to do a scan every 3 months. Mm-hmm. But people are not, sometimes they are not willing to do scans and really do a body scan again after 3 or 6 months, because they're doing it for psychological reasons, the strength training, or for just overall well-being reasons. And they don't need to know if they have improved in their measurements or their body weight or muscle mass, fat mass. So normally towards the end of a subscription term, we would offer these scan appointments, and then work and moderate through a proactive renewal.
And that actually brings me on to another question about contracts. So do you, what do you offer? Is it, I mean, sorry, forgive me if you've talked about this in previous podcasts, I forget, but I can remember I thought it was, wasn't sure if it was sort of monthly auto pay or 3 month or 6 monthly or annual. Yeah,
we have a monthly, we have a 12-month term and a monthly auto pay. We have a 12 months term, and you can pay up front. That's a bit of a special situation here in Switzerland. Normally people pay up front for the whole 12 months. Then we have a 3 months monthly and upfront. And we also have a 10-pack and a 52-pack for people to just want to take 2 years to use up the 52 times and don't be in a hurry to lose a week. And the last big theme that we have is just we have a buddy, like a partner subscription, where they always come together, and they per person it's a roughly 25% cheaper than if you come alone. So that's what we have.
Do you think you'll simplify those packages going forward, or will you always offer that kind of breadth, do you think?
It's as simplified as it gets, because the preferences are fundamentally different between, like, I want to not be in a hurry to lose a week. And people say that I need this to come every week. So these are the two things. You will always have packages of guaranteed sessions in a certain time frame, and packages as subscription type packages. And the other dimension that we just have in this business is partner sessions and single sessions. So it sounds complicated, but it isn't. It's basically just a simple question: do you want to come alone or with a partner? Do you want to have a per pay as you go model, or do you want to have a subscription model? And that's it. And then we find the right package for you.
Yeah, I understand how that might work for the customer. I'm just curious. There's one counter argument I've heard against packages is that it's not monthly recurring or annual recurring revenue. It makes the business slightly less valuable because they're not in any kind of subscription. And then obviously you have to resell them at the end of that. It's a lot of their money up front, which actually you could argue doesn't serve them as well, because that money's that could be used for other things or earn interest. And I'm sure there's other points that I can't think of right now. But what do you say to like that counter argument there? Yeah.
I mean, if somebody of my management would say we have to do it that way because it makes the company more valuable, I would throw them out of the conference room, first of all. I mean,
sure, but what about the argument for the customer? Right. Oh, by the way, Julian, I'm just going to interrupt you so much during this podcast. I'm going to pre-warn you.
No problem.
Only because I'm so interested in the details of everything you're saying. So what about from it's from the customer's perspective? Saying, look, don't give us all your money. Just go ahead.
Yeah, that depends, right? In Germany, for example, the franchisees are selling like 10 packs a lot, because people like it's as you say, it's not so much upfront investment, and here in Switzerland people are really thinking about this from a perspective of, I don't want to lose a week. I want to be sure I can just use them as like life comes in the way. If I lose a training once a week, I'm just without hassle can do this training the next week, and I've not lost that week in a way financially. And they are anyways okay with paying a lot upfront, right? Because they also would pay the 12 months upfront. So it's a cultural thing, I might say. If somebody wants to not shell out so much money in any given month, we have the monthly subscriptions. It's about options for the customer and what serves them best. And by the way, it also, that's what we talked about in the sales process. Our coaches are educated to really moderate and consult the customer on the best possible pricing option for them. I might make an example. If you have somebody who's a semi-professional athlete, and he tells you, for example, cycling, I'm on the road 200, 300 kilometers a week. As soon as temperatures are more than 11 or 12 degrees Celsius, I just want to train for 3 months. Right there, you have it. You can either offer them a 10-pack or a 3-month subscription. Makes no sense to offer them anything else. So this is a personal business, and our coaches have to moderate through the process and tell people what's the best package for them. For most people, the best package is the 12-month subscription. And I tell you why. These are like our main customer group are people that do this just to enhance their everyday life. Like they want to do this once a week, no big time investment, and just have the mental and the physical well-being that comes with it. And science has proven that people need something to lose. They need to have skin in the game. And so people come more often if they are on a monthly subscription, because on their credit card statement, they see every month, or the hour subscription was deducted. I have to make up for this pain of paying this by using the service. And there's a great book on pricing by Hermann Simon. He's founder of Simon Kucher Partners in Germany, one of the biggest pricing consultancies. And he specifically talks about what pricing model a fitness type of business should use. And he says it's the monthly subscription, where it's deducted every month because of that effect. It's a win-win, because, as you said, businesses like to have the recurring, and customers come more often because they feel the pain of the deducted membership fee. And obviously that's a win for them. If they come more often, they are more successful. They will renew more likely. And so if I had to say one thing, if I have to only cut it down to one pricing model, it would be the 12 months monthly subscription.
Okay, so it's a 12-month financial commitment, but it's only paid monthly.
Yeah,
as opposed to like one-off. Okay, but they are contracted in for 12 months.
Absolutely. Yeah, because you have to run the business in a way, right? You have to have some safety of revenue for some months in advance.
I think we could spend this whole podcast talking about contracts, but I'm also really and payment packages, because it's fascinating, and it's so useful to learn about how you, not only what you're doing, but why you're doing it. And sorry, you were going to say something, but I was going to hop back to retention when you're ready.
I think people need to be rewarded for a longer commitment. That's why you have these longer commitment things on offer. You could theoretically pay for each training like singles, but that's not biologically how training works, right? You will by design come more often, and so you want to give people a rebate compared to singles if they commit for 12 months. That's why you have these it's a natural recurring business, fitness. And so you will have subscriptions. It's a natural thing to offer that.
What is that book you mentioned, and is it translated into English as well?
What do you mean?
The pricing. There's that pricing consultant wrote that book.
Simon Kucher Partners. Yeah, it is in English. I think it's a very successful around the world. It's called Confessions of the Pricing Man by Hermann Simon.
Got it.
Great book. One of my notes. I love this book.
Cool. Yeah, I need to read more books about pricing, so that's a good reference.
Pricing is crazy. If you think about it, pricing, it's only pricing that has a direct impact on your bottom line. When you optimize prices and you get it right, or you have room to grow and you just increase prices by £1, it will show, this £1 will show up at your bottom line. Pricing is the most powerful lever there is. Everybody's always focusing on cost cutting and stuff, but pricing is the real lever in business.
Yeah, wise words. And just one more question, actually, on the contracts. So one of the things we do is we allow, if a client misses a session, we only do monthly auto pay, and we have like 3 options, and that's it. 4, 6, or 8 times a month, studio or virtual. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We have thought about doing other options, and maybe we will in the future, but for now we've just kept it super simple, maybe so it's less balls to juggle and things to think about, right? But the way we do it in terms of session usage is we allow all sessions to roll for 90 days if not used, but we encourage the trainer to optimize their schedule and to book that session as quickly as possible. And one of the things I work on at the moment is to have good scripts in place. And by scripts, I don't mean our trainers are like reading a script. I just mean like workflows, ways of approaching. You know what I'm talking about, Julian?
Yeah, absolutely. I dream about those. I love how honest you are.
So for example, obviously like a client the other day, good friend of mine rang me to say that he's injured his knee and injury in his shoulder, not related to our studio. Or it's one of those things, isn't it? It's very hard to identify causal factors for these things. And you know, I what we had kind of done is allowed him to not work out for a week. And I thought, actually, that was the wrong approach. What we should have done is, hey, let's just train we've got a few approaches. We can see how you feel, train full range of motion. Okay, that doesn't work out. Partial range of motion. Okay, that doesn't work out. We'll just do like a static hold. We could do unilateral training, just train the healthy side, because there's going to be crossover and adaptations, right? Yep. I should credit Luke from Discover Strength for a lot of this advice.
Actually, and I mean, Hermann Mayer was big on that. This is a very famous skier or downhill skier from Austria, right? Like I don't know the exact word for it, where they just go really fast down the hill with the ski. And he had this horrific crash in Nagano. Everybody, when you look it up, you will immediately remember what crash I'm talking about. And on the same day, he just went and trained the healthy side, and he just did some light bicycle stuff, and just to get blood flowing through this injured knee and stuff like that. And it's what you should do with clients. They should come in and train.
It's one of the best ways to rehab, right? As well. I like you saying. And anyway, so my point is that was a method we should have used in order to optimize his session usage, right? Now, I like the idea of a 90-day rollover, which again, hat tip to Discover Strength. They might have changed their policy now, and not charging cancellation either currently, which is fine, and maybe that'll change in the future. I'm just talking about kind of some things we're doing at the moment. And yeah, it just works well, because what we notice is if someone's on once a week, then they'll just catch up quite easily, do twice a week the following week. What do you think about that though? I'm just curious what you think about that as a policy, 90-day rolling sessions. Do you think that's a good idea? Do you think it has any weaknesses?
That means you can use up your 10 sessions in 90 days, right?
Well, let's say you're on 4 times a month, right? Once a week, and you miss your first week, then you have 90 days within which to use that session, okay? And then you lose it, right? And you're not compensated for losing that session.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good model to do this. What we found is it's a natural progression towards once a week for clients. And so when they are on the weekly on the weekly membership, that's why we offer the package versus the subscription, right? By design, they should lose a week if they don't come in, because then we are circles back to, okay, you should have come in, like feel the pain and come in again. It makes you successful. Having said that, we are not charging any cancellation either. I think as long as you're not completely booked and you don't have real opportunity costs upon somebody canceling, you shouldn't like charge cancellations. What we do is people can pause their subscription once for about 2 to 3 months for longer breaks. That can happen. That's how we implement this rolling 90 days, what you just mentioned. What I found to make no sense for us was to say, okay, here are 12 sessions and you can use them up in 14 weeks. That's kind of, it's a subscription, right? Why say you have 12 sessions if it's just a subscription? That made no sense to us, and we didn't implement that dimension of pricing.
Yep, I agree. So just hopping back to retention, you talked about some technology you're using in order to measure, right? And obviously there are studio owners, prospective studio owners listening to this who don't have such tools. If you were starting anew and didn't have the technology, what would you measure retention? Would it be a metric you would measure on like a weekly or monthly basis? And what was the simplest way you would do it?
Absolutely. I mean, it's so important. The ultimate, like that's just a folksy saying, but the ultimate growth strategy is retention, right? In this business. And so we would be obsessed with retention. We are, as of today, and we will always be obsessed about retention. In the beginning, we were like butthurt if somebody canceled, let's say not butthurt that they canceled, but being disappointed by ourselves that somebody canceled. But these things happen in fitness. Just this morning, we talked about in the early days of our when we raised capital, somebody was comparing our churn rate with a software business and saying it's not that attractive. And we were like, yeah, you're right. We should be at 95% retention. And it's just not what happens in fitness. It's still human nature. People cancel and don't come for various reasons in fitness. If it would not be so hard to keep up a fitness routine, we would all be out of a job. And so we are really obsessed about retention. How would we measure it? I would search for software, to be honest. I would not, like, I would have I would use a software, try and find a software that lets me see and filter for clients that haven't come in last week or that haven't been in for 2 weeks, and then see retention or see that as a metric of a leading indicator for somebody who might drop out.
And you have your own, is it a proprietary software in the cloud that connects to Intercom? Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a cloud platform
right.
that's part of the R1 platform, and that's kind of saving all the usage data, the strength data, and everything. And so the usage data is really, we have an indicator that's called trainings. So if somebody has come in, he has like a training, and then you can see when was his last training, how many trainings did he do. You also have like a frequency score. If somebody drops under 0.7 or something like that, he's not really coming in that regularly. Well, we see people on overall the whole population of our customers, the average customer is coming 3 times a month. So it shows you already, right, that when you have so many customers like we have, the average is 3.2 times a month. So we have people that come in 6 times, and you have people that come in only 2 times. And so the average turns out to be something around 3.2 times a month.
And I'm just thinking about other software tools. So we use MindBody, which is pretty good.
Yeah, me too.
I use MindBody as well. Do you?
Yeah, sure. That's the studio management system for everything. Okay. And we used MindBody in the beginning to track retention. Now that we have not just appointments, we have real trainings, right? Usage of our system. That's easier for us to then track retention. But with appointments in MindBody, you can track.
Yeah, I think the thing is though, just to give people a heads up if they're looking for software to do this, MindBody. What I've kind of, I don't think MindBody's perfect. I think the user experience could be better.
It can be. It's trying to be an operating system for all health clubs globally. So
yeah,
it's just tough. A one-fits-all solution. By definition, it can't be perfect.
Great point. But the other thing I just want to say to people that are looking or reviewing MindBody as an option, which I do often recommend, is just make sure that your whatever price point you go for includes the features that are really important to you, because it's quite limited at the lowest price point. And I don't think you get all the fancy retention reports that you might want at that low price point. And it can get kind of pricey, especially if you're a startup. So just make sure when you have your sales call with a rep at MindBody, really make sure you understand, how much it's going to cost to get all the features that are really important to you. And retention tracking should be right at the top of the list.
Yeah, and I think also you should go for the package that has the white label app where people can book their slots themselves. That's crazy. That's really good. And it's
it's just frustrating because I feel like I had a bit of a moan at support the other day because we don't have that, and you need to invest in that to get the white label and then embed it on your website, the schedule. And I don't know, it just frustrated me because I felt that should have been provided in our existing package, but
Vista Equity Partners has to get their returns, man. They also have to put food on the table.
I'm just being cheap.
it's been bought out by Vista. And,
I didn't know that. Okay.
It's a private equity owned business, and so these people, they also have children. They have to get food on the table.
Of course, those poor things.
Have some courtesy. No, it's right. It's right. It should be today. It should be included. But I encourage people to not be cheap on software. I think it's $350.
That's quite a lot, though. I think.
Yes, but in comparison to the value that you get out of it for your customers, it's not that much.
This episode is brought to you by ARX. These are the most intense exercise machines I've ever used. I remember how fast a pull-down exercise took me to muscular failure and beyond. On the final negative or eccentric excursion, my tank was practically empty, but the adaptive resistance enabled me to continue to perform work until the predetermined end of the set. This experience was very profound and made me realize how effective ARX is in helping clients reach a high level of intensity in their workouts and ultimately produce the best results. I also love how ARX measures and tracks range of motion, rep cadence, total output and time, and more with real-time audio and visual feedback. These features are powerful sales and retention tools to help you convert and keep more clients. As a listener of the High Intensity Business podcast, ARX is offering you $500 off your machines. Just go to arxfit.com/HOB to book a call with the ARX sales team to learn how ARX can revolutionize and grow your fitness business. Again, go to arxfit.com/HOB, and now back to the episode. Yeah, fair point. Right. So I'm glad that obviously, things like MindBody, I think Glowfox are looking pretty good. They're like an up and comer in Ireland, Wellness Living and Pike 13 are others that I hear. So if people are out there thinking, we're in a place where we're looking to review software solutions for scheduling, retention, managing staff, those would be my recommendations. But my advice to you would be to only limit yourself to reviewing free and no more. If you review any more than that, you'll drive yourself crazy. You'll spend too much time and you'll have more buyer's remorse, which is Paradox of Choice. If you've ever read that book as well.
I'm always saying it's like the studio management system. There are factors where you should focus on as the entrepreneur, where you can really have an impact, where you have a lever, where when you do this right, you get a lot of outcome out of it. Like just that's your area of focus. But these are hygiene factors, right? That studio management system is just something that you need to have it, and you don't need to over optimize for the studio management system. What you want to do is to be sure that you're not running into problems when you scale. So if you only, for example, buy a system that you can only use in one store, and then you see, turns out you're doing really well and you want to open a second store, but you can with the existing system, that's a bit of a problem. But all the other things, they are more or less the same. For us, to give you the reason why we decided to go with MindBody was that they have a good API platform, right, where we can just pull out the data that we need into our cloud, and they are really accommodative of this developer customers that just built on this platform. And so that's why we went with mind body. But other than that, we would be agnostic towards the glow fox and stuff like that.
Cool. Yeah, and I appreciate it. That's really interesting. Now, this podcast is meant to be about retention, Julian. That's not your fault. It's my fault. I keep taking us off track.
You should get my CTO to do this, like dive deep into technology.
Yeah, I know it's fascinating. Actually, there's definitely like so many rabbit holes we could go down on that stuff. So I think that if we don't get to anything else with regard to retention, obviously what we've talked about is sort of tangentially related, is talking about principles. Because if we have some principles in mind, then we can come up with our own strategies and methods and tactics, right? So what are your principles when it comes to retention and optimizing retention of customer base? What are the principles that you think about or that you follow in Aurum?
So the overarching principle would be what we have in the brand slogan, right? We want to provide the strength to enjoy life. And that's where the customer journey starts and where also retention should pick up again and where it should also end in a way. When people come in, we ask them what this means for them. We want to understand, what are you doing this for? Right? Is it, I want to be able to pick up my grandchild and lift it overhead, or do I want to be a great golfer? I want to have the strength to beat my body at tennis. What is your strength to enjoy life? What is your why? And when we have deconstructed that in the initial consultation, we tailor the story of their training with us around that. How does high intensity training help you achieve this strength to enjoy life? And we hold ourselves accountable during the retention process to have we delivered for you the strength to enjoy life. And that's the overarching principle.
So you're always checking in and saying, well, if we haven't retained someone, maybe we haven't achieved that result for them. And so I guess now a better question would be, how is that principle, which is great, how does that manifest itself in strategy, in some of the day-to-day, some of the processes? Yeah.
Okay. We have the initial consultation process where we interview the person and get this why out of them. Why are we doing this? Why are you here? Because as people that interact with us know, we are advocates for this. Is not something that is has intrinsic value. Like you should come in and do this and achieve a certain level of strength and fitness, and then go out and enjoy your life as fast as possible. And so when we steer this retention process, we do this appointment where we sit down again and break this day to day. Hi, how are you going? Hop on the machine, do the training, see you next week, and just talk again. And look at the data. How have we progressed towards more health, more well-being, more joy in your life, right? And then things will come out that sometimes are, this is the best thing I've ever discovered in my life. Obviously, send me the bill, send me the invoice. But also other things will come out, right? Like, I'm always having pain in my lower back from this. We're zipping away strength to enjoy life then, right? And then we have to get a valuable data point back from people, how we can adjust and maybe help them change something during the training or stuff like that this doesn't happen anymore. And so the first thing we need from people is information. We need to know if something goes wrong. We need to know if something is right. We keep up and we try to find a way to become even more effective. And if we are not effective, we have to figure it out. We have to change things and try to become effective at helping them and achieve the strength to enjoy life, whatever it means for them. And so the first thing I might add is sometimes things get in the way and they can just not renew because they have moved away or they are in home office and it's not easy for them to to come to the studio anymore because they're anyways there in the office. And so that's how it works from a process perspective. People sit down, do the 3D scan, talk with the person, and then say, moderate through this process of retention in a way that they find out pain points, try to eliminate those, and if there are no pain points, just renew the person.
Okay, so you're constantly going through discovery to figure out how you can basically optimize their experience, get them the best result, and handle any kind of objections that might arise.
Yeah, and I might add, there is an education process going on throughout the journey of any customer, because when they are first interacting with us as a brand and also with high intensity training as a method, they are skeptical because they are framed from what they have read and what they have heard in society at large, that you have to train a lot and you have to commit really a lot of time to training to achieve anything. So they are skeptical. So you first break through this skeptical shield that they have and convince them to do the training with us. And so you are going through an education process where you encourage them to read certain things that are really important to their aspirations, and to kind of dig a little deeper into how this works and why it works for you. And also the interaction with the coach should be in a way that he can explain questions about why should I recover a week? Do I need to eat 2 grams of protein per kilogram to even build muscle and stuff like that you read on the internet, right? So you moderate through that and you build a relationship, and you teach them how they can help themselves with high intensity training, what the philosophy is around and supporting high intensity training. For example, in the case of a goal of fat loss, moderate carbs during the off days, right? And stuff like that.
Just on the education process, I'm really fascinated by something you said, which is, does it sound like you tailor that educational exposure based on their aspirations?
Not yet.
It's in the pipe.
That's in the pipeline. Yes. We have built software. Yeah, we have, the relationship of the coach with the customer. And I said you this before the show, going forward, we will invest only in people. Like everything will actually have the grand scheme of investment in people that serve the customer. Like we've built a new software that will run only for the trainers, for the coaches, that is called the coaching app, where they see all the relevant information and can also bring in information on that customer all the time. So you can enhance this experience and this relationship that forms between you and the customer. And there will also be a way to then, building on that, tailor the information that you drip feed to the customer, to their specific need. As I said before, it's not really interesting for a 35-year-old that wants to build muscle to talk about osteoporosis. It's just not what they want to focus on. And so that's what we want to do in the future. We want to deliver content and educational content that's targeted to the specific problem of the customer.
If failing that, though, what do you think are like the top 5 educational points you try and get across to customers relatively quickly after they join? You mentioned one about recovery, protein intake.
Yeah. I think rank them from 1 to 3. Number 3 would be sleep. That's broad scheme of recovery, but it's in our point of view, it's especially with the customers that we interact with, sleep is a problem. It's a big problem. They don't sleep enough. They don't sleep with a high quality of sleep, and it's kind of sipping away everything, the results that they achieve in their life, and also the results that they achieve at our room. So we have to educate them about sleep. Number two would be educate them about what we said about the basic principles of healthy eating. Right, that's super important. Again, people that come to us, and most people that come to us, they don't want to be experts in fitness training. They come to us to leave their brain at the door and just do a good training and then leave again. And so obviously they might have a kilo or two too much on the hips, and they want to, and they think about it in a way, if I do this training now, I might lose these kilos on the hips. And we both know that's not how it works. It helps, but it's not the biggest level that you have to lose these kilos on the hips. They have every day three, broadly speaking, they have 3 points of failure that either, or points of decision called meals, where they can say, okay, do I want to build fat or lose fat? And so you will never, as a fitness provider, compete against this frequency and this impact that meals have on the results for the person. So you have to educate them on the broad topics of nutrition if you want to do your job right.
So just on that point though, nutrition's tough, right? Like in terms of educating, but then more so getting people to adhere to certain nutritional habits. We made a deliberate choice not to really talk about nutrition, aside from we might end up providing some guidance on high level stuff, because, well, few things. Firstly, we want to be known for just doing the one-on-one tailored strength training, from a strategic niche perspective. And you might have heard Luke and I talk about that before, and I know you're very familiar with that. But also in terms of just the amount of investment and knowledge and expertise you have to have in order to deliver that service as well effectively, right? So I'm curious, like, do you not struggle to get people to adhere to that?
Yeah. I mean, I have to tell you a funny story. In the beginning, where we were not knowing what we are actually doing, we were saying, okay, we have to offer also nutritional advice. So we had somebody who was really signing up for that nutritional advice. And so Philip was doing the consultation. He was like, he's a nutrition nerd. He absolutely wants to do a great job when somebody comes in. And so he sat down with that person and said, look, and now I will explain you the 80-20 principle of fat loss. It's also nicely outlined by the way, in Body by Science by Dr. McGuff. It's a chapter called The Science of Fat Loss. It's all you need to know on fat loss. But anyways, he wanted to talk the person through that. And he said, the person said, okay, I don't want to understand how. Why? I want to understand how. Tell me what I can and what I can't eat. And every nutrition consultant will come to that point. You can talk to any nutrition consultant. He will always come to the point, tell me what to eat and what not to eat, right? And it's just, we know that doesn't work. We know it. And so he started, and he was like going through, okay, what do you for dinner? What do you eat? And the person said, I have half a leaf of bread and some salami and like butter on top, and I have 2 beers with that. And so Philip said, okay, would it be possible to leave out the bread and the beer? He was, at that point, he was already like, just, it was growing on him that this will never work. You let experts do this. You will not be able to provide nutrition advice or a strategy for people that works for them as the fitness provider, as a strength training provider. And so we ditched it that same evening. We ditched nutritional advice as a product, but we want to provide the framework, because that's what we can do. If somebody has a why and he understands the importance and how it can be done, he will do the work and understand, okay, maybe I have to cut back on carbs a little bit. Maybe I have to eat more salad. and then they will slowly but surely progress towards a nicer body, or what they imagine would be like a nice body, a
I'm
bit
curious.
slimmer.
I think what we might end up with would be a similar heuristic to what Doug uses, right? Like a direct line from you to the sun. Eat plants, eat animals, eat the plants, eat the animals, eat the animals. Like as a very simple kind of Paleolithic kind of heuristic, and versus like I know other high intensity training businesses that will focus on like calorie deficit, which I think is putting the cart before the horse a little bit. I think if you eat the whole food, the non-processed, everything should kind of balance itself out, as Doug would say.
You're just never hungry. That's the crazy part. Just never hungry.
Although I look, just to be clear, like, I know loads of people that do calorie counting and it works really well for them. So fair play. I'm just not sure if it works for the majority. I'm not convinced.
Yeah, there's a lot of omitted variable bias in there. So
although someone might send me a study, so if there's studies out there, then fine, I'll take a look.
Yeah, I think there's a good one. It's called Always Hungry by a Harvard physician. I think he's the first one to come out of this Harvard complex of highly acclaimed medical research that just says, look, the calorie model, as easy and as beautiful as it sounds, it's not that easy. We are a biomechanical machine that has hormones, and hormones are like the omitted variable here. And so it's a great book. Always Hungry is the name of the book.
Yeah, sounds awesome.
Yeah,
Julian,
but the first principle, like the most important thing that we have to teach people is that it's not the duration of the exercise, it's the intensity of the exercise, because we're dealing with cascading effects here. So what we mean by that is we have exponential effects in terms of intensity, and we have linear effects in terms of recovery. That's the whole magic around the high intensity training philosophy. The example is, in terms of a cascading effect, would be I think Dr. Doug McGuff makes always a great job of explaining this, would be when you start burning through the glycogen stores. Like you have this, I don't know the name of the enzyme at the moment, but you have this enzyme that interacts with two molecules, and these two will interact with two more molecules, and you have this cascading effect, exponential effect, where all of a sudden all the glycogen is kind of flushed out of the muscle into your blood, and then does all kinds of other crazy, amazing things in your body as a answer to just 1 minute of really intense leg press, right? And it does all of these effects that happen, like the stimulus of the exercise happens in 1 minute of really intense work. And then it needs up to 7 days to kind of clear the waste of this hardcore exercise and even become stronger. Because it's so in the brains of people that they need to work hard all the time, not recover, right? CrossFit did a beautiful job at just hammering that down one more time into people's heads, that you just have to work out every day. And so that's what we really focus on in the beginning, just to explain them how it works, that they gain trust, that they just relax, come in 6 to 7 days. We do another workout, and you will see you will become stronger and stronger and stronger all the time, because we're dealing with exponential effects from the exercise, exponential stimulus, and linear recovery. And that's why we have a really short exercise and a long recovery period in between. And I don't know about you, but that was always what fascinated me about high intensity training. It was just the beautiful logic of it, that you train once really hard, and if you then train again really hard the next day, you're cutting short on your initial goal of becoming stronger. You're doing yourself a disservice by training again the next day. You should wait. You should just sit there smiling. Oh yeah, it's doing the job that I want my body to do right now, while I'm not in the gym.
For me, and I know you got to wrap up like right now, Julian, so I'll make this very quick. But for me, I thought I'd found the magic pill for like huge muscles, right? I fought,
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Which is obviously then come to learn how much that is mediated by genetics and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
But the efficiency benefit was enormous because I'd gone from training like 4, 5, 6 times a week to like once a week, 50,
and also
10, 15 minutes.
And I had split training at the time, right? And what I was always, I understood that if I do, for example, chest and triceps, I want to leave those alone. But I understood that if I do pull and biceps, somehow these muscles are not alone, like they are not left alone and recovering. It's interconnected. They are still, although they should be recovering, they are used in a way. And even if it's just inflammation from the rest of the other muscles that you train during the time where they should recover. And so that was another thing that I found beautiful about high intensity training, was that you can get rid of kind of the split training and just do all at once and then let the body alone.
Yeah. You and I should do a whole podcast one day on just this stuff, right? How we discovered here. I know we did perhaps cover some of that in our very, very first episode, but we could talk about this stuff for ages. I know you got to shoot off, and I know we've danced about on this podcast, but I loved it as always. I just love the fact that we can just talk about anything. Best way for people to find out more about you, Julian and Oren? What's the best way?
I mean, the best way would be the website, orenfit.com, and our YouTube channel for those that understand German. We built a YouTube channel at the moment that is going really great. And chime in on LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn would be a great way to interact with us as a business. And that's about it. Or come into one of our stores in Munich, Stuttgart, Zurich, in Zug, in Switzerland. In January, you can also walk into a store in Tel Aviv, in Israel. So that's how you can interact with us.
Very cool. And for everyone listening or watching, or both, to find the blog post for this episode, please go to highintensitybusiness.com, search for episode 344. And until next time, thank you very much for listening. This episode is brought to you by ARX. You want to be a successful strength training studio owner. The problem is you aren't able to deliver the safest, most efficient and effective workouts, making it harder for you to attract and retain clients, which makes you feel frustrated. I understand that it can be difficult to differentiate your business without the right tools. ARX's breakthrough adaptive resistance technology uses patented motorized resistance and computer software to give you and your clients the perfect workout every single time. BioFit founder John Zarbok says that ARX is clearly the superior tool to deliver the exercise stimulus. My clients are seeing insane improvements in weeks, not months. I could not fathom running my business without ARX. So here's how you get started. Number 1, go to arxfit.com/HIB to get $500 off your ARX machines. Number 2, book a call with the ARX sales team. And number 3, learn how ARX can help you grow your strength training business. Go to arxfit.com/HIB so you can stop struggling to attract and retain clients and start to grow your strength training business with confidence.